Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me again. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe now and help the channel grow. According to the statistics, only 30% of you guys are subscribed. So please, if you can subscribe, I will be most grateful. All right, so let's continue here. So far we have this part for marking. Now it would be nice to, before we even make this button active, it would be nice for the teacher to simply know when there's something to mark by having a thing up here. Yes. Yes. So I want us to add a number here to show how many tests are here to be marked. Now, so far we only have one test, so we're going to see whether that holds up once we have 2 or 3 tests, but we should add a number here. Now, how do we know when? So this will act kind of like a notification for the teacher. So how exactly do we know how to add something there? So in the same way that we can retrieve information here directly like this, we can use the same code to get the notification here. The only difference is that on here we're going to be using pagination, right? So even though there could be like 20 tests that need to be marked, this page will only show a few, and that is because we do have pagination here. If I go to the toMark controller, you will see that actually there isn't any pagination here, which is tragic. However, it's supposed to be there, so that will be the only difference. So what we should do is find a way, because this thing is always on the navigation here, so we have to find a way to get this information without having to come to this page called toMark. So we want to use the same code, but it should be available anytime, because no matter what page I'm on, I should be able to see that number there. Okay, so before we do that, let's just design the number thingy real quick. So let's go to the navigation in views. So views includes nav view, and let's go to toMark right here. And we want to add a number. We don't want to show this number when there's a 0, but we want to show it for as long as there's a valid number there. So what I'll do is I'll put some PHP tags and put an if statement and just say if we're just going to call it toMark like this. If toMark, which means there's something there. If it's a 0, this will return false, but otherwise it will be true. So let's put an end if there and close that. Now what I want in here is what is known as a badge. So let me put a div, or I could use a span, doesn't really matter, because as long as I add the correct classes, it's going to show a specific way. So let me put a number like 2. Let's imagine there's a 2 over here, and let me come back here and let's set toMark to a specific value here. So let me add a few more PHP tags here, and this time I want to add some PHP. I want to set a value for this one. Now this could actually conflict with the toMark that we are using when we are on this particular page. So to avoid that, let's add something like count at the end. That should solve the problem. So let me put this here and say toMark count is equal to 2, like this. That way we have a specific value. Copy that, and then I can add it here, echo it out like so. Save that, and let's see how that works. So refresh, and you see we have a 2 there, but it doesn't look like a notification, so not to worry. Let's just put badge here, because Bootstrap comes with that in mind. And for some reason the badge goes down. I don't understand this. Anyway, badge should have Unfortunately, I don't have internet right now. I'm somewhere where I don't have internet, so I can't really go and check the Bootstrap website. However, what we can do is, let me put a background danger, and then let's change the text to white. Let's do this, text white, and let me refresh. Okay, so we have something resembling what we want. Cool. The only thing is we want it at the top here. So what I will do is, let's see here. Let me add some actual CSS this time. I'm better at that. So I'm just going to say position absolute. Let's change the position to absolute and let's see what happens. Okay, pretty cool. So we just want to move it a little bit higher. So let me just say top here, minus 5 pixels. Let's see what that does. We've gone too far now. I think it's using the page itself as the reference. I can tell if I do left and put a 0 like this, 0 pixel, because if it's using the document, it's going to go all the way to the edge here. But if it isn't, it will just stay right here. So let's refresh, moment of truth, and you can see it went all the way up there, which means it's using the whole document as reference. So we should change that. It should use just the button itself as reference, and to do that we must make this button, let's add a style here to the button itself and change its position to relative. Okay, cool. And let's refresh, and this time we see it over there. Very nice. Now instead of using left, we're going to use right here. So let me just say right, because it has to go to the right hand side, and refresh. All right, so see, very cool. To mark, and there will be a number there, so you can move it specifically where you want. If it's too high there, you can just say -2. If it's too high, higher than Snoop Dogg, then you can move it down. So refresh. Okay, maybe a lot less higher. Let's just put 0 and see what happens there. Refresh. Okay, that's still cool. All right, so at least we have a notification. Now it doesn't actually represent what we have here, so let's see how we can help it to represent that. So what we ought to do is this. We know that the code for the controller is what brings about the result here on this page. So inside the to mark here, we're just going to copy all of this. Now there are two ways we can do this. First of all, we could just create a function in the functions.php, and then we can call that function. The only problem with that is it's not so portable doing things that way, because this function is very specific to this project. So it's better it lives in something that is also very specific to this project, and it should also make sense. For example, what I mean is, if I add this code inside the tests model, it makes sense, because then I can use tests to retrieve that information. I can just say tests get I don't know, get to mark count or something. Get to mark count. Quite long, these function name, but it's always better when they make sense. So get to mark count, and then we can have a number here. Number is equal to. So this makes more sense, because you know it's a test. It must be a test, and then you can get the count of tests to mark. So this is more readable, user readable, than just having this function in the functions.php page, because that completely isolates it from the whole project. So I'd rather have this kind of thing here. So what I will do is, oh, and by the way, before I let's do this. Let me put the to mark count like so. Okay, and also I just noticed that I repeated my code here. This tests is equal to new test model is exactly this, only this time it has no s there. So this isn't good coding right here. This can cause quite the number of problems. So let me remove the let me see where I've used tests like this and change that. So right here, for example, I will search for this because I know this is when I'm using the model. So let me select all instances of this. Okay, so once I got it, I can move back. Yeah, how is this even working? To mark test rows. Okay, so it's test rows there, so that will be fine. We won't give any problems. So I'm just going to move that cursor and remove the S there. And then I can change this one, remove that S, and then I can now delete this one. So you should always have a single point of origin. That's always better because it's easier to change things around when you have a single point of origin. Okay, so now we go to undefined method, test model, go to mark count. Oh, so sorry about that. This is the thing causing problems. Yeah. So refresh. Okay, we still have problems. Why? To mark on line 18. Ah, right. So I muted the wrong thing. Sorry about that. Let's come back here. Let's refresh. Okay, so things are still good. The only thing we need to do now is move our code to a better place. Yes. Okay, so let's do that real quick before we can edit it. So I'm just going to copy all of this. First of all, the thing I need to note here is to see if there's something that this particular code here requires from the main page here. Those are the variables that I will need to pass inside the function itself. So looking at this, it doesn't seem like there's really something we need because all the variables are coming from the auth, for example. This is universal, so it will work anywhere. And the only other thing we need is to instantiate the test model class, and that's it. Looks like we don't need anything else here. Let's see here. Yeah, this looks pretty much self-sustaining. So I'm just going to copy all of this here up to there and copy. And let's go to the, yeah, this becomes recursive. Yes. Tests model, test model. Yes, so we go to the test model. Where are you, test model? And there we go. So right here we can create a function to handle that so that we can hide the complexity of this thing. So let's just say function, and let me just write a temporary name because I've already copied some content which I don't want to lose. Let me paste that like so. Okay, now I can come back to here and let me do this. I can come back here and copy this part like so. So copy there and paste here as the function name. Okay, pretty cool. And this one maybe can be a protected function because we are, oh, we can just leave it as public. It doesn't really matter. Okay, very cool. So here we're just going to have to return something because this function should return something after all. And the count should be here. Let's just say count to mark underscore count is equal to 0, and then we're going to change it halfway there. So copy this and right at the end, which is here, let's return. We say return whatever the value is at that point, like so. So we shouldn't see any errors so far, but we do. Okay, so undefined variable test on line 150. That's okay. That's because instead of test with an arrow like this, let me copy this. Where are we here? Here especially. So let's do a copy of all of these instances, and we have one more. I think that's probably the last one. So every instance of this, okay, there's one more right there. Let's use this instead. So I'm going to move a few steps here and put this and delete like that. Okay, cool. That should get rid of the error. And if that error is gone, we are good to go to the next level. All right, so I'll see you in the next video where we create an actual number for that.